At some point during the solar consultation, you'll talk with the customer about their utility bill. After all, that's why most of them are talking to you in the first place. They are frustrated by the rising cost of electricity and the unpredictability of their bill. They also feel powerless about the lack of choices, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to take action and break away from the status quo. During the bill review, you can translate that frustration into a need and drive the customer to make a commitment to take action. If you execute the bill review correctly, you're more likely to close the deal after presenting the solution. To see where the bill review falls in Sunrun's PowerPlay solar consultation process, click the button in the lower right corner. Utility bills come in different shapes and sizes, but essentially they list the same type of information. They list the customer's usage in kilowatt hours for one or more billing cycles, the rate that the customer pays for each kilowatt hour, and the generation and distribution charges. They also list a number of other charges that add up to a large chunk of change. To successfully execute the bill review, you need to explain the charges listed on the bill to your customer. You also need to be able to educate your customer about the rate structure that their utility uses to charge them. You should explain these in a way that builds on the customer's pain and drives them to a commitment to go solar. All utility companies charge customers for production of electricity and getting it to the customer's homes. Generation charges are the utility company's fees for production of the electricity that the customer consumed. Utilities use mainly fossil fuels, that is coal, natural gas, and petroleum, to produce electricity. A small percentage of the electricity that they generate comes from hydro and other renewable sources of energy. Utilities also charge customers for maintaining their aging infrastructure and delivering electricity to customers' homes. This is typically listed as transmission and distribution or delivery charges. These charges may be included in the kilowatt-hour rate, or they might be listed separately. In any case, they are a big portion of the customer's utility bills, anywhere from 40 to 60% of the bill. So, why does it matter what percentage of the customer's bill comes from generation or distribution charges? And how can you use this information during bill review to drive the customer to commit to a change? Select each line to learn more. Most customers are unaware that only about half of their bill is for the electricity they consumed, and the rest is for the delivery of electricity and other charges. You can use the customer's own bill to demonstrate this and build the pain with the customer. You can explain to the customer that by having solar on their roof, they can take away the distribution and delivery charges. Who wouldn't like that? You can explain that even if generation costs don't go up, the cost of maintaining the utility's aging infrastructure has been and will continue to go up. Recent reports indicate that utility companies will spend $10 billion on upgrading the grid. As utilities spend more money on the grid, they are likely to increase consumers' rates and fees just as they have historically. Utilities charge customers for more than just generation and distribution. These are just three of the most common charges that appear on the consumer's bills. Be sure to educate yourself about these additional charges and explain them in a way that helps the customer feel the pain. Select each charge to learn more. The Public Purpose Program charge funds advertisements that tell customers how their utility company serves their community. They also go to commercials that tell customers to alter their lifestyle to lower the demand on the utility during peak hours. This charge also makes up for the discount programs that the utility offers to some customers. If the customer's usage is above average, they'll see a conservation incentive charge. This is essentially an additional charge for being a good customer. The utility then uses some of those funds to credit customers who have below average usage. Renewable energy charges are the utility company's way of recovering their spending on generation of electricity from renewable sources in order to become compliant with renewable energy standards. This is also how utilities pay for the rebates that they give to solar customers. Utilities are required by the government to motivate customers to conserve electricity and use renewable energy sources. But because the utilities must make a profit, they pass these expenses on to all customers. In a tiered rate structure, the more electricity the customer uses in a billing cycle, the more they'll pay for each kilowatt hour. Customers are allotted an energy allowance, basically a specific number of kilowatt hours at the lowest rate. This allowance is sometimes referred to as the baseline. The customer gets charged for any electricity they use up to the baseline limit at the rate specified for Tier 1. Most customers use up their Tier 1 allowance between the 5th and 12th day of the billing cycle. Any electricity the customer uses beyond Tier 1 up to a certain limit is charged at Tier 2's rate. Depending on the utility, there may be anywhere from 3 to 5 tiers. Tiers 1 and 2 are regulated by the Public Utilities Commission. Those two tiers' rates tend to be significantly lower than Tiers 3 and above. Select Next to see an example and learn more about the tiers. During one billing cycle, the Garcia family used 751 kilowatt hours and paid the utility company $213.68. Here's the utility company's allotments and rates per tier for this billing cycle. Since they used 751 kilowatt hours, their usage extended to Tier 4. So, in essence, in a tiered rate structure, the customer is being penalized for being a good customer. Instead of getting a discount, the more electricity they buy, the more they pay for each kilowatt hour. That's the point you'll want to communicate to your customer. In a flat rate structure, the utility sets a flat rate for each kilowatt hour, regardless of the amount of electricity the consumer uses during one billing cycle. It's common for the utility company to change the rate depending on the time of year. Select Next to see an example and learn more about the flat rate structure. The Brown family used 644 kilowatt hours during one billing cycle and paid $165.85. The utility company charged them 12 cents per kilowatt hour. But wait, that only adds up to $77.28. So what's the other 88 or so dollars for? They also paid for delivery costs, state-mandated fees, taxes, and other charges that added up to more than half of their bill. So they actually paid 26 cents for each kilowatt hour they consumed. That's more than double the kilowatt hour rate the bill listed. That's the point you'll want to drive home when talking to your customers about what they actually pay for electricity. Now that you've learned about rate structures and understand what generation and distribution charges are, you'll have an easier time reading your customers' utility bills and explaining the charges on them. Mouse over the highlight boxes to reveal information. Don't forget to scroll down. In this module, you learned the foundational knowledge you need to review the customer's utility bill with them. But there's more to executing a bill review. To successfully execute a bill review, you'll need to employ specific questions and techniques so that your customer can be involved in the uncovering of their need and feel empowered to take action. How, you might ask? Read Sunrun's Power Play Manual, specifically the Review the Bill chapter. There, you'll find the tried and true bill review strategy that thousands of other Sunrun sales consultants are employing every day. In another module, Bill Review in Action, you can get the full experience of a bill review and access tips and best practices that you can employ to make your bill review as effective as possible.